Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Dark Horse Comics here, and I have some very special guests, which I am very excited to introduce you to in a moment. It is Wednesday, which means we are here as usual for New Comic Book Day, but this is a very special edition because I am joined today by the guests who created the new book, The Seeds. So welcome to the Berger Books team. First of all, I'm going to introduce Karen Berger, the editor of Berger Books. Hi, Karen. Thank you for joining us.
Hey. Pleasure to be here, Karen. Thanks for having us.
I know that you have joined us a couple times to talk about other Berger books last year, including the big wins for both LaGuardia and Invisible Kingdom. So big year, 2020, even though it was a wild year. So congratulations again to everyone for those.
Yeah.
We also have the incredible comics creators, Anne Nocenti, first of all. Hi, Anne.
Hi. Hi, everyone.
Anne also has joined us to talk about Berger Books, and we're going to talk a little bit more later about her other Berger book, Ruby Falls. But today the focus is on The Seeds. So thank you, Anne, for joining us to kind of deep dive into your very timely creation here. And absolutely not least, welcome to David Aha thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome, David.
Hi. Hi.
The artist and designer and letterer and everything, really.
No, not everything.
on The Seeds. Congratulations to you all for the book coming out. It has been, as I said, a wild year. 2020 definitely caused some delays in the process, but we are here now and we have the trade paperback collection of the entire Seeds story, all 4 parts. How does that feel to get that book out into the world now?
Well, it feels great, but I want David, go ahead. You talk.
Do you want me to talk first, or?
Well, I'm very grateful to the fans because they had unbelievable patience with us because we decided to just have our seeds come slow, but we thought we were just talking about how we thought it would feel dated, and it doesn't feel dated, which is a strange thing to say.
Timelier by the second. It gets timelier.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
So it feels amazing. I hug it like it's my teddy. I'm always like hugging it. Take it to bed with me.
Actually, I cannot believe that it's actually out because, as I told you, I did not have it yet. So because I have not received my comps yet, but I know that this has been a very long journey. But I'm so happy because it's incredible that it's finally out. I know there was a time I have talked with Karen and Anne a lot about that in the middle of when we were creating The Seeds, there was a time that I thought that I was not gonna be able to finish it, and at last. Almost a year ago, actually, we finished it because we finished it in March or so, more or less. Last year. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
And it was like, oh, it's done. And it was done. And when I saw it, it was exactly what we wanted to do. More or less, because, but but it was perfect as it was, and I was so happy with it. And well, then came the pandemic and all the lies and those stuff, but it's great that it's finally out, and well, it's our baby, more or less.
Yeah.
And it is magnificent. I say it's worth the wait. Well, congratulations again.
I hope. Yeah.
No, it's beautiful, and honestly, it's, you know, for folks watching at home, if you have not yet read it, be prepared. There is so much to this book. I mean, more than we could ever possibly cover in the time that we have here today. I'm going to call out, there have been some absolutely fantastic press coverage, articles, interviews, and things like that done that go far more in depth. Big shout out to the Panel by Panel crew, for example. We'll drop some links in the chat to that in a bit, but they have some extremely in-depth interviews, articles, talking with Anne and David about their process. So I can't recommend that enough. And I'm a little jealous they got to do such a deep dive into the seeds. We won't be able to go quite so in depth today, but we are definitely going to do what we can to tell you all about this book. Just a quick few notes for those who are watching us today before we really get into it. You can, those who are in the chat, drop some questions about the comics for our chat moderators. They'll be keeping an eye out for you. And we'll get to those as we can, as we go along. Just drop your questions in the Twitch chat and we will address those in a moment. We also will be running a giveaway, as we usually do. Today, of course, the giveaway prizes are a copy of The Seeds new trade paperback. It's a beautiful collection, again, of the entire series. So you get all of that in one beautifully designed book. And we also have a copy of Ruby Falls, which is Anne's other Berger book, another beautifully designed trade paperback. So you will win both of those in the giveaway. All you need to do to enter is type the keyword bees, BEES. You'll know why if you have read The Seeds, or you'll find out why in a minute. But the keyword is bees to enter the giveaway. Enter it once, only once. Your entry will be counted, and we'll draw a winner near the end of the stream. I also just want to point out that, as we're saying, The Seeds trade paperback is out now in both comic shops and bookstores, and also digitally. So if you prefer digital platforms, it's at Dark Horse Digital, also Comixology and all those other, whatever your preference is. But we do encourage you to shop local if you can. Comicshoplocator.com can help you find comic shops near you. It does work outside North America too. And then indiebound.org can help you find bookstores in your area. So it is available at both. I know it has been selling out quickly. Thank you to some of our amazing comic shop retail partners like OK Comics, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have done a great job with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it's sold out, don't worry.
Thanks for the spam, Karen.
Yeah, you can get more. They can order more for you. But yeah, just check with your comic shop. As David was saying, international shipping has also been pretty slow, unfortunately, due to the pandemic. So there may be some delays, but don't worry. We are making that book widely available. I like to ask our guests if you have any comic shops or bookstores in your area, or just otherwise that you've been working with that you'd like to shout out. So please. Well,
I'm in Savannah now for the winter. I live in New Jersey, usually. And there's a great little shop here called Neighborhood Comics that I stopped in the other day. And actually there's a photo of me, which I have not tweeted out yet because I've been sort of taking a break from social media. But there's a picture of me from last week in the store with my mask on, holding a copy of The Seeds. So I was going to save it for after this panel, actually. So yeah, but it's a great little shop, and had a great selection of books from a lot of indie publishers, and DC and Marvel, and book publishers as well. But a great little shop. So Neighborhood Comics in Savannah.
Love it. And I look forward to seeing that picture.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm in New York, and I went out, like this, and I checked every comic shop in Midtown Comics, Forbidden Planet, JHU, everybody was sold out. So I wasn't able to get a copy.
That's great.
Well,
Really great. Yeah.
a nice problem, I guess.
I guess I think also comic shops, most of them said they only order like 2 until they see if they sell. And they all sold, so hopefully they've ordered 3. Or
Just batches of 2 by 2 by 2. Well, there you go, folks. There's another reason to maybe
It's a long run, as I said.
at comic shops.
It's not a sprint, but a long run. So let's hope it goes. Talking about the long run, one thing I have, sorry about the jump, but when we're reading right now, this last week, the Seeds, our whole collection, I have seen that it's actually very dense. I mean, that it actually requires much probably rereads and well, I'm trying to sell my book, okay? No, but it's true that it's one of those books that I think that you have to read once and again, and each time you read it, you discover one new thing, and it actually happens to me that I have done it. So I hope everybody will enjoy it as much as me.
No, but what you're saying, David, is really true. I mean, there's a novelistic quality to the graphic novel that the Seeds is. I mean, the word graphic novel is used really more in many ways as a format.
Graphic tale.
In a sense,
I like graphic tale.
Yeah, but this has the narrative has real weight and gravitas, and it's what I like about it is that it's not a quick read. That the story and the art are integrated together so beautifully, even though it's coming from 2 separate people. The 2 of you collaborated so closely on this, and you worked back and forth so well that I think you can tell when you read the book that everything is in balance. The writing is in balance with the art, and vice versa, so perfectly. And it's for me, I always call myself, as an editor, I always call myself the ultimate reader. I always like to say that I publish books that I edit books that I'd like to read myself. It's very selfish, but it's true. And this is, the Seeds is a perfect example, of that. I mean, thematically, what Annie and David are doing here is just telling a story that's so relevant, to our world, but takes it sort of to a different level. And I think, the mix of science fiction and romance and, expressions and, commentary on, technology and the truth and the different interpretations of what the truth is, which, again, like Annie was saying when we first started, we thought that this was going to be dated, when we started it 2 years ago, and now with everything that's going on, in the U.S., it is just, this book is so prescient to to what we're living through,
I think one of the conversations that the 3 of us had a lot of is, just the rare and unique and wonderful collaborative nature of comics.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with the Panel by Panel magazine, you can see that there's the writer, there's the artist, there's the editor, and somehow the 3 of us created something that is, we're all storytellers, one of the things that was important to me in the beginning was to ask questions I asked myself, like why, why do I love my text so much that I feel like my hand is cut off when I lose my phone? Why, coming from a farmer family, my grandfather was a farmer, the process of how can we stop eating meat, so the tech, then also the loving of the other, the alien and Lola's love affair is really kind of about loving people that are different from you. And I think a lot of those questions that I developed with David very early in the process, it became like an invitation to play. A comic should be an invitation to play between the writer and the artist, so that everyone puts themselves in it and folds themselves into it. And Karen and I did maybe 3 or 4 drafts of the seeds, and then David came in, and I always like to compare it to juggling. He took all the scenes and he just threw them up in the air, and then they all came down.
Sorry.
At the table. No, it was fun. And then I went, well, everything is in a different order, and everything is like, and white characters are black, and some characters are older, younger than what I had thought of them, and it all, as David always used to say to me, it all works out in the end. But I think that I am surprised by things in this comic because it is all 3 of us. And Karen, I remember at one point she said, you have to cut one character. And there was a character that was, do you remember her? She was a simulacrum. She was a robot, and she was like a rock star who sent out.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about her.
Said, just pick one character and kill them before they even start the comic. And I went, okay, I'll kill the rock star, so I think that
I remember that.
Like we had to kill one person. Oh, and the other thing I remember is that in the beginning I was like, I really want a lot of animals in here. I want bees and ants and insects and dogs and cows and everybody to be watching humans. Like, what are the humans doing? Why are they wrecking the planet? And I was like, David, do you like drawing animals? And he went, I won't draw a dog, because he had done this. He did this amazing issue of Hawkeye, right, where it was all from a dog's point of view.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of the comic, I think that's the dog, right? Is it the dog?
Well, that's much probably because. Yeah, but I remember the thing about animals that when we started talking about the seeds, I remember to tell you that I want to do interludes just with animal points of view. I do not know why, but I wanted to show magpies and dogs and cats and wherever, and I wanted to include animals. And at last, it was probably the clue of the seeds. But yeah, it has been very organic. I mean, when Anna and I were talking, things were like. I'm not sure if I have lost connection. Can you hear me fine? Oh, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. Yeah, because you have all been frozen. Sorry. Okay. That's what I said. It was very organic. Like, Anne had an idea, and suddenly I had another, and that idea I had feed the idea I had, and because everything flew so great at every point. So I'm so happy with everything. And now, currently, I have to say that both Anne and I, when I started working on it, we both knew we wanted an editor. I don't know why, but we wanted an editor, much probably because we both are a mess. Or at least I'm a mess. I'm not sure you are. And we wanted an editor. Yeah, I know.
Both messes.
Yeah. So, and actually, we both want Karen to edit our story. And we were like I don't know, after her to see accept. Thanks,
But
Karen.
I know. Well, I'm so glad that you guys asked me, and I'm so glad we got to do it. And um,
I don't think there would be seeds without you, Karen, because I
No,
don't
no,
think
of course
there would not have been. I don't
it
think I ever
wouldn't
would have finished it. I
at
wouldn't have
all.
finished it. Not
No,
at
no,
all.
well, yeah, well, thank you, thank you. I mean,
no, no. It's true. So you're
yeah,
part of the book, of course. So
yeah. Well, and then
without you, there would not be book.
I serve my
That's
purpose. No, but I think that, but I think what, you were saying earlier, Annie, about the collaborative aspect of comics is that, and one of the reasons why, it's such a vital, creative, storytelling medium is that, honestly, it's very much, again, like television and film, where you do have creative minds coming together, all in service of the story, and the best way to get the story told. And yes, clearly people have their different, talents and roles in producing the story, but at the end of the day, it's in service to the idea and to the story. And I always, have felt that, my role as an editor is to get the story told, and to help the writer and artist in any way possible, and life is complicated, and sometimes the creative process moves along really quickly, sometimes it doesn't, and each project is different. And but I think what was so special about the seeds is that, what I really liked is that both of you came to me together, as a creative, unit, which and made my life easier in that respect. Normally I tend to, work with a writer first, and will together, in most cases, not all, but in most cases, then try to find the right artist for the project. But what's so great about this is that you both came to me together, and so it was in many ways, very formed. So for me, it was great to see how much work you had already put into the characters, and things did evolve from when you had first pitched it to me. But it was great to have so much, sort of on the table to start with, and I could tell, how it was, a labor of love for each of you, in different ways, and for all of the kind of science fiction aspects to it, it's a very earthy book. I mean, it is a very, like you were saying before, Dave, it's very organic. I mean, and, the fact that, the story is about, the health of our planet, above all, really. I think it's about many things, but I think if you had to pick one thing, I guess maybe that's a good question,
I was going to say, like, I really appreciate and your writing and everyone on this book for leaving it so up to the interpretation of the reader.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say, is that it is an invitation. Like, I get really annoyed when I watch movies that tell me in any way how to think or feel.
Yes.
Like, especially soundtracks, when the soundtrack starts up like, now you're supposed to be scared, now you're supposed to fall in love, It's like this book is designed to, you have your own interpretation. If anyone wrote me and said, I think the meaning of this book is, that aliens, we are aliens. We talked a lot about that, or whatever your interpretation as the reader, that's good. That's in some ways more valid than what I put in the book, because it's meant, like, you look at a painting, it means whatever. You look at these paintings, what does it mean? We posed questions that we have no answers to. We don't know. We don't know. there's the idea that I want to break my tech and move out someplace where there is no internet, and that's a real impulse. Will I do it? Probably not. Will someone do that someday? Create a zone where there are no drones and no tech? I think maybe, but it's the whole book is an invitation for you to have thoughts and interpret however you want. And I will never say you interpret our story wrong, because you're right. All the readers, you're all right. I'm talking too much.
No, that's perfect. No, but you're saying, I think it's like, I think like almost each piece of work, of let's call each piece of art, if you want to, it's actually for that. You do what you want, you throw it, but at last you totally lost control of what people think about it, and that's great. I mean, the last word is on the reader in this case, and that's something that I really love it, because we have thought a lot of things, we have put a lot of questions and answers, but I think each interpretation, even people think it's the comic, it's a crap, it's fine. It's like, it's their opinion and it's fine if they think about that, but I think that you have done a great point there about that people should have the last answer.
I was thinking, I was thinking about the scene. I mean, I don't think this is too spoilery because they're aliens, but there's a scene where
maybe it is. Okay, if you have not read the seeds, do not listen right now. But
there's a scene where people are talking about aliens that they've met. Oh, I was abducted, or whatever, and there's nowhere in the script that says put a black bar over eyes. And so David put this black bar, and I thought, oh, that's so cool,
But it's totally from the 80s. I mean, nobody do that today. I think that it's something from my youth that I remember in all magazines where.
Oh yeah, and somebody wrote online. Oh, it's so nice that David protected the identities of the people that said they were. And I went, wow, that is such an amazingly great interpretation of that scene. And I don't know why David did it, but you answered it in a way that was sort of perfect for me. And pretty much every page of the seeds, we could do a deep dive into every page where there's what I thought the story was, there's what David thought the story was, what Karen thought the story was, and then you, the reader, whatever you think the story is.
It was a fight, but a fight with love.
It's so very layered. And, when we are presenting the book to people, talking about it to fans and to shops and to everyone, we have to at least give it some sort of synopsis. So thank you, Karen, I'm sure ultimately for kind of providing the basic tip copy that we have to share with folks, which, do you mind, Karen, actually giving people just that like short little summary of what the seeds is, that core story anyway?
I'm glad I don't have to answer this.
I mean, I can read the tip copy, but
it's kind of, like in a broken down world, where tech is taking over. A reporter tries to I'm sorry, I'm like spacing out there. A reporter, in search of the truth, finds a story that can really make her career. But if she tells the story, it can really expose it can create a lot of trouble in terms of I'm not doing a very good job on this.
no,
because it's hard because of spoilers, you
Mhm.
know.
Yeah.
You know, we did have some scenes where we showed how aliens and humans would have sex, but David cut those scenes.
Oh, right. Actually, I have it right here. It's in a broken down world, a rebellious group of ruthless romantics have fled a tech-obsessed society to create their own, and a few cantankerous aliens have come to harvest the last seeds of humanity. When one falls in love with a human, idealistic journalist Astra stumbles into the story of a lifetime, only to realize that if she reports it, she'll destroy the last hope of a dying planet. How far will she go for the truth? So that sums it up perfectly.
So that's one layer of the story.
Yeah.
But
Right.
as we're saying, there are so many to this, and it's all up to you as the reader, as the viewer of this art, you know, to kind of interpret it for yourself. And I really like that about this whole book. And you know, the way you started with a question, really like, what is truth? What is reality? Is it the same to you and me? And you know, other taglines we have for this are, you know, there are 50 sides to every story. I like that too. I think that really is a good summary of kind of what you're doing in this book. There are so many different sides and stories and perspectives, and each page, each series of 9 panels, which we should talk more about that 9-panel grid, but each page could really be its own short story, or there are so many short stories kind of intertwined in this. And I really like that. I thought you did a brilliant job with that setup. So
I have
a lot of work for you all, but
I have a funny. Sometimes I'm looking at it and I have a funny feeling that I want to, because there are all these stories like Just the Farmer and the Beekeeper. You could take all their scenes and put them there, and that would be a whole story. You could take the naturalist and the tech. There's a layer of the story that's about will tech save the world or will nature save the world? I have a point of view on that. You could take all their scenes and put them over here. You could literally rip the book apart and put all the different, and it would be all these other different stories. And then I also like our little tagline, which the very first comic I fell in love with was Pogo. And there's a line in Pogo that is, we have met the enemy and he is us. And so we have met the aliens and they are us. So there's also that.
Yeah, no, and I think everything you're saying is you know, is so true, Annie, in terms of all the different sort of narratives that are, you know, or hidden narratives that are going on that could be explored more with some of the supporting characters. But you know what David did so beautifully is you know, integrated. You know, he helped integrate in his storytelling all the different stories from each of the different characters, you know, in such a great visual way. And you know, and if you look at, you know, sort of the mastery of David's actual drawing and his rendering, no, but it's true. I mean, you can get lost at staring at one of your panels.
Yeah.
And the detail
Thanks.
and the texture. No, it's true. I mean, and that's going from we went to the short, you know, talking about the novelistic aspect to the book, in terms of the story, but in terms of the art in it, it's you know, it's magnificent, and it's you know,
I think it's a whole after all. I mean, one thing I love that Anna and I did, the structure thing. You know, when we were working in first issue, when we decided to part into chapters, you know, I think that was great, because um, that was what I was about, having like a lot of different stories inside one big story, you know. And actually the fact that each act, we call it acts in the graphic novel, where issues, it's more or less like one day, but it has happened. Like it has passed time between those issues. But inside one issue, it's like more or less the same day, but we have like different points of view of this day that there are like 8 chapters of this act. And it's something that I love, that both Hannah and I work together. The fact that having different points of view, but not a global point of view. I mean, it's like, I remember talking to Ran about having like, when you saw a magazine with a photographic report about some place you do not know, and you see different photos here and there, and you do a picture in your head about what is happening. So more or less that was that's what I think, at least what we have tried to do in our book, like having like different small points of view to have a global point of view, but with not showing that global point of view. I don't know if I'm talking more or less clear, because I'm amazed that more or less you have understanding, right? Or not?
I especially like the pig's point of view.
The what?
The pig's point of view.
Oh, the pig's point of view. That's incredible.
There are all these beautiful things that, the look on the pig's face as the farmer decides he loves his pig so much and his pig has done so much for him, but now he's going to eat him. And David drew this drawing of the pig just going, yeah, okay. Yeah.
I posted myself on the pig.
I do love the animals throughout, the birds, the pigs, even the cat towards the end, the turtle.
Oh yeah.
A lot of significance to the turtle. Actually, a question for you all. Throughout working on this, did you start to just see hexagons everywhere after a while?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like in real life, walking around.
Yeah, there was David and I both, when I started, I Googled it, where are hexagons in nature? And I wanted to get all of them in there. I couldn't. Like there's pineapples and bubbles, and there's all these different things in nature that have, but finding the turtle I was like, wow, turtles, hexagons. But now I see them, if they're on the street, they're walls, it's paper, they're everywhere.
That actually happened to me. Yeah, that I saw hexagons everywhere. It was like, oh, look, an hexagon! Look at those. Yeah, an hexagon. And I was like, oh. Yeah,
like fractals.
Yeah.
Underlying pattern of life.
Well, to back it up just a little bit, to give our folks watching who may or may not be familiar with the book, can we touch a little bit on how this story initially came to be? What was the gestation of this? Anne and David, how did you know each other, and where did this idea come from initially?
Well, I think it goes back to Daredevil, right, David? Is that, yeah, Daredevil.
Yeah.
Daredevil story together. And I loved working with David. He did these, there was little things in the story like firecrackers, and what he did with just firecrackers was amazing. And every line in the script he took to some whole new magnificent place. So for me, I knew I always wanted to tell another story with David. That was a dream of mine, so.
No, it was mine. I have been reading you since I was 6 years old.
No, my dream.
So yeah, for those watching, if you do not know, Anne and David are both kind of extremely comics legendary, I would say, and Karen as well. having worked
Yeah.
together on Daredevil and, a few other little comics.
They too are legendary. I'm a newcomer. Talking.
People say so.
I mean, yeah, I read them both when I was a kid. So,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's incredible
I did
to have
stop, and
worked
I
with
did
them.
stop
But
working.
I still cannot believe that we are talking here. It's like I know that sounds stupid, but it's true. I know that I have told you like 100 times, but no, for me, it's awesome. And I remember when we were doing that Daredevil story, it was with Warren Simons, the editor. It was back in the day the editor, my editor on Iron Fist, and he was editing Daredevil. And yeah, it was going to be about some special issue on Daredevil. He talked about the chance of having a script from Anne, and was like, yeah, let's do it. And the thing was that Anne and I started talking, and well, we got friends more or less. We had a great relationship, and so then we keep on talking and talking about doing things. I remember we talk about tons of projects, and um, we did more or less a project called Scoop, right? To talk a little, yeah.
Well,
Your time, man. I'm talking too much.
Which was sort of the prelude to the
um,
scene, right? Scoop. prelude
there
to
was this idea from, I wrote it, there was a thing in New York called the 24-hour play, where you would have, we'd all go to a theater, and you'd have like a few hours to write a play, and then the director and the costume and the actors and everyone would come in, and 24 hours later, the curtain would rise and you'd put on a play. So I did this thing that was called Scoop, and it was a guy who ran one of those old tabloid offices where it was like, I think I saw the Loch Ness monster. Okay, you go report. And it was this guy who was in The Wire, Andre Rojo, who became like one of the main actors in that great TV show, The Wire. He was the lead, and he played the editor that just wanted stories and sales and stories and sales. And so the first version of the Seeds you had him as David did a drawing of him, and we called him Hunter, right? The hoax hunter or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I can't remember. Yeah,
so,
I think so.
It was based on a tabloid, and the idea that the whole magazine would be designed. I mean, the comic would have recipes, advice column, letters page, a centerfold. It was going to have, I mean, I really wanted a centerfold of a naked alien, that she would finally find the alien and get the naked picture of the alien, and it would be like a centerfold, but the alien was both genders. Remember, for a while, the aliens were going to have both genders.
Yeah. We actually keep that in the Seeds tree, in issue 3. Well,
yeah, it's in there a little bit. Yeah.
But isn't the newspaper in the Seeds called Scoop?
It's called the Scoop.
Ask the paper Asker works for. Yeah.
And we left the office because, even a lot of it comes from Marvel Comics. When I was an editor at Marvel Comics, everything was the office back in the 80s was so crazy. Maybe the DC office was similar.
Was not like.
Well, we were always doing all kinds of shenanigans, like literally Mark one thing, Mark Grunwald would come in naked wrapped in saran wrap. I mean, we're talking like, you can't imagine how crazy Marvel Comics was. And then I went on to be the editor of Film Magazine Scenario and Prison Life and High Times and Covert Action, like all these different, every bullpen is insane. And they're all, back in the day, they're all very dark humor, cynical shenanigans, and sales. Can we make money? So that all is still in Scoop. I mean, the Scoop part of the Seeds.
Well, that really comes across in the scenes that take place in the newsroom there. So,
Agreed. And I wasn't even there, so.
well, Marvel, you all had like an editorial bullpen, right? Like people didn't have their own offices.
Yeah, where the artists would all be, and a lot of that stuff was in that original Scoop comic.
Right.
Like somebody one time they came in with helium and they blew up balloons and stuck them to everyone's head. So we were like a comic book for a day. Everybody at Marvel, it was like being in a comic because we all had balloons over our heads with words on them.
That's great.
That's the kind of thing that was in the first version of the Seeds, which was called Scoop, which is beautifully designed by David, and you can see it in panel by panel. They have David's original designs for how that version would look. Now I'm really talking too much.
Not at all. Oh,
no, this is all great. Yeah, this is all great. Yeah. No, but I think that the journalist aspect was such a great way into the story, and in terms of sort of hinging all the other events around, Astra, trying to do her job in a world, trying to tell the truth in a world where no one really knows what the truth is anymore, and how she is sort of forced to balance, her real principles. Do you tell a story just for sales? Like how the world tends to run, or do you tell, or do you tell a story, or do you hold back on a story if that could potentially endanger, a big secret that some other people might have. There are a lot of issues there that you're dancing around there. And again, like you were saying before, you're not answering any of these questions. It's that you're posing, you're throwing this stuff all out there. And
did we lose David?
He's reconnecting right now, it looks like.
Oh, okay.
For folks at home, yeah, David is in Spain, and he's quite a ways away from the rest of us, so I think we're having a little bit of a connection issue, but we're working on getting him back.
If you hear it, David, we miss you.
Yeah. And, we do have some questions from the audience for him too. And thank you all. These are good and definitely relevant. In fact, one that just came in a bit ago. Can you speak to the process of staying true to a story focused on investigation and journalism, like framing, world building, burying the lead, etc.?
Yeah, that's a great question. You can't really. I mean, it's really a strange process to be a journalist. I spent a lot of years as a journalist and also documentary filmmaking. What you leave out, what you put in, what you leave out, the context, how many people you talk to, it makes it really kind of impossible to capture the truth. All you can do is try. And I think one of the things in the Seeds is that's why there are animal point of views. That's why there are the bees. How do the bees see what we're up to when we put them on trucks and take them across country and feed them sugar? It's how do animals view us? And so it's an attempt to put in, even the aliens, it's an attempt to put in more point of views than you'd ever be able to put into a actual piece of journalism. And, so yeah, that's a great question. And it's sort of an impossible task, but you could try. And yeah.
Well, we're still working on getting David reconnected here, but I was also going to ask, so as we've said, David, of course, is in Spain, and Anne and Karen are on the East Coast of the US, and Dark Horse itself is based on the West Coast of the US, so we're all pretty spread apart. What was your process like working together? Were there just a ton of emails, phone calls? I mean, we were saying earlier, this is kind of the first time we've all gotten to see each other in person, even you, the core team who worked on this.
Yeah,
In
well,
person, I guess virtually.
David never had a webcam up
Yeah.
until like last week. So, so David and I would talk over Skype every now and then, but it was mostly emails. I mean, Annie and I have known each other for a long time, so we would talk, see each other in the city, email, text, all forms of communication. But Anne and David actually didn't really, they always communicated by email until last week, right? When you Zoomed, or a few days ago, right?
And
Until
I
you,
think a lot of it was like very cryptic. Like David would send me an image, and I like to talk about like one time he sent me an image of an astronaut floating in space, and sometimes we wouldn't even talk about what the images meant. They would just end up in the comic. Like I would say, okay, I'm going to do a storyline. I'm going to add a storyline where an astronaut is dead in space. And then I would build a story around it, like the obvious, like the Elon Musk, everyone trying to get into Mars right now, and how, to me, how kind of ambitious and silly that seems when there's so many problems on Earth. So some of it was really, really cryptic. We would send each other links to films or images, or
it's like a secret language, in many ways.
that what we
It's
did.
like a secret language between the
Language,
two.
yeah, a secret language that, because it wasn't easy to just hop on the phone and say, what do you mean by that? I would just sort of put it in my brain, and then it would roll around and come out as part of the comic. So yeah, it was a very mysterious process. That I think that the mysteriousness of the process, you can feel it when you read
Yeah, you can really feel it in the book. Yeah,
Yeah.
you really can. It's very the book is very atmospheric, and I think that comes down, to what you're saying is part of the, the ambiance in terms of, creating the book, and about how the book was created. Yeah, the atmosphere in which the book was created. So yeah,
I'm really impressed by Anne and David and both of you, and just the way that you work together, but also the way that you work individually. I mean, you can really see from your scripts, Anne, and David's kind of interpretation and process, and a lot of this was covered in those panel by panel articles, and we'll share some of those process pieces on Dark Horse social media as well, so folks can look out for those. But I recommend getting that issue of Panel by Panel for sure.
It's only $3.
It's true. It's like less than a single issue comic, folks.
Panel by panel is the deepest dive into the mechanics of not just the seeds, but he always does a lot of it's a lot of comics, and he also does a thing called Strip Panel Naked, where he analyzes on YouTube. He analyzes the mechanics of just breaking down and the beauty of the panel and the beauty of that linguistic energy between words and pictures. So, and it's only $3. So, and the Strip Panel Naked is free. So I recommend everyone look at Hussein's magazine and get.
It's fantastic. It's such a deep, go ahead.
Getting David back on here.
He's been trying to reconnect for a little while now. I think we're having
Let's load him up with questions. Have a question ready for him.
Exactly.
Well, I was excited to ask him. We're mentioning that atmosphere, like how atmospheric this comic is, and his decision to use the kind of sepia duotone. And he also mentions how he was influenced by a German expressionist film, which is like, that's my jam. That is my thing. I was so excited. Dr. Caligari is one of my favorite movies.
Mm-hmm.
And Nosferatu, he also mentioned, and just that sense of light and shadow, and how he conveyed that in the art. It's just phenomenal.
Tarkovsky.
Mhm.
Kaukaska.
Stalker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's able, like, this comic, for anyone who has kind of minimalistic sensibilities like I apparently do, it's very visually appealing. Like, your scripts, and that's kind of what I was going to say, is in panel by panel, you guys discuss your process of how you will provide these scripts that are fairly detailed, but you're able to convey so much with so little. And then you left each one open for the artist's interpretation, and he ran with that, obviously.
Yeah.
And so it was just such a collaborative process. And I was really impressed by that. Like, you're both able to work together and adapt. And Karen, I was curious how much, whether you just kind of stayed back and were hands off and let them do their thing, or like, how much, yeah.
I mean, I would.
Karen and I would do maybe 3-4 drafts, and she sent rounds and rounds of notes. I mean, I made a joke about when she said kill off one of the characters that's in the book, but she gave me very detailed notes about everything, and it wasn't until Karen had done we had done many drafts, and then we would send to David. So there was a big process before it even went over to David.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, I'm still checking on his connection here. We're working on it.
Annie and I had the script together, at that point, it was really kind of between Annie and David in terms of, what they felt, visually worked best. I would come in at some point. I would always obviously be there. But because it was such a, kind of a
mind meld.
A what?
A mind meld.
A mind meld, exactly. I was going to say equal collaboration, but mind meld. I felt like, okay, we have the starting point of the script, and then it goes on to the next stage. But again, because the story was so layered, and there were so many stories within stories going on here, that I felt it was especially important for the two of them to work things out together in terms of what makes sense visually.
Mm-hmm.
And they did.
It obviously.
The proof is on the page. Hey, David, can you hear us at all? Can you? Is there any audio on David?
He's got his mic muted.
Right.
I think his connection just may be a little too unstable right now.
Yeah,
it's too bad.
We'll keep working on it here. Well, this could be a good opportunity for us to discuss some of the other Berger books topics as well. So I mentioned the giveaway, which is open right now, and you can enter it. For those who are watching and in the chat, just enter the keyword in the chat, bees, because bees are very prominent throughout the seeds. BEES. And you'll be entered. We'll draw a winner near the end. You'll win a copy of this new collection of the seeds, which is out now, and a copy of Ruby Falls, which came out earlier in 2020 during all kinds of craziness. But despite everything, our books were still coming out. And Ruby Falls is written by Anne. And can you tell us a little bit about what the storyline of Ruby Falls is?
Well, Ruby Falls is, again, a book that wouldn't exist without Karen. And, after the seeds, we started working on the seeds, Karen asked me if I had anything else. And I told her a story, and she said, well, this story should really have a female artist. And again, it never would have happened without Karen really saying, because I mean, when you do a graphic novel or a comic without a superhero in it, it's very scary, because it's personal. It's not you can't hide behind Batman's cape. You can't like hang your story on a icon. You have to just sort of turn your brain inside out, and you're much more honest. I think you're much more like personal, and Karen really encouraged the idea of a 3-generation female story. And it's a murder mystery. It's a murder mystery that stretches over like from the Prohibition era to now. And it's a grandmother, a mother, and a daughter. And then Karen can jump in here as to how she found Flavia Biondi is the most stunning storyteller, and she upped the game of Ruby Falls. Like, for instance, I like to talk about how the story is about a fallen woman, and I thought, okay, metaphor for something falling, let's have leaves falling the whole time. And Flavia just, she went crazy with that. And so she made all the exteriors have these beautiful autumnal colors, and all the interiors dark and noir. And she also added so much acting. She's brilliant at giving people a body language and creating a repertoire like an ensemble of actors, and giving them each their own way of standing, like their own way of moving into a scene, their way of blocking. And she was a complete joy to work with. And I've never spoken to Flavia. Me and Karen were supposed to be at Naples Con and have our cocktail on the beach with Flavia, and then
COVID happened. Yeah, we were supposed to go to Napoli. Yeah, to that great. Yeah, Flavia. Actually, I was introduced to Flavia through Jeff Lemire, who had met her at a convention in Italy, and he had recommended, her to me, and then Annie's book was there, and Flavia seemed, she was, I think, the first person that I thought of. It was great timing in terms of when I found out about Flavia and her work, and when Annie and I first started working on Ruby Falls, and actually Lee Lowridge did the color on Ruby Falls, and it really, brought so much of that beautiful atmosphere, in the color palette that he, that he introduced in the book, that he used as a canvas for the book, really. And Ruby Falls is a very different story, from The Seeds. And again, which just shows Anne's strength as a writer in terms of the diversity of the types of stories that she's able to tell. Going back to her days as being the first woman superhero writer at Marvel, and I mean, and that's a legacy that.
One of the first, not the first, one of the first.
Well, you were one of the first. But but in terms of being probably the most prolific at the time, you were probably, in the 80s, right? Late 80s.
Yeah, there was me, Louise Simonson, who is still working for Marvel. She has a new series with her husband, Walt Simonson. There was Joe Duffy, Maurice Severin.
That's right. Yeah.
One of my mentors, and also Joe Duffy was doing Star Wars.
That's right. Yeah.
Did you at Vertigo have female writers?
Well, we had you on Kid Eternity. Nancy Collins was writing Swamp Thing at the time. Elisa Whitney, who was an editor, but also did some writing as well too. She did Destiny, which was a Sandman miniseries spinoff, and she did some other things. But there were again, there were a handful of women who were working in comics in the industry at the time. It was very slim pickings, it was very slim.
Well, as I was saying earlier on our call, actually, thank you to Karen for bringing in more and more women, and just increasing our diversity with Berger books. And the stories that are being told and the people that you're working with. It's really enjoyable to get to work on and work with all of these folks, including Anne and yourself.
And one of my favorites, G. Willow Wilson.
Yes. Absolutely phenomenal. I love Invisible Kingdom too. What a fantastic story. Christian Ward's art and Willow's writing, just fantastic. If you're watching at home and you have not yet tried Invisible Kingdom, you've got 2 volumes now that you can check out.
We're just putting to bed the 3rd volume, even as we speak. It's just about to go out the door. And that will be coming out in June, I believe. And yeah, Invisible Kingdom won, the Eisner for Best New Series, which was pretty awesome, which is really incredible.
Impressive.
Yeah, and Christian won for best painter, and best cover artist. And there's David connecting to audio. Let's see if we can get him in.
Yeah, he's been reconnecting, trying.
Yeah, and Invisible Kingdom is also nominated for an Angoulême.
Yes. Yeah, we hope to have some more updates on that coming up soon. And LaGuardia, of course, winning both Eisner and the Hugo Award.
Yeah, Nettie Okorafor, and amazing writer, and Antana Ford, and amazing artist, and James Devlin, wonderful colorist. I've been lucky, man. I've been lucky to work with so many really talented people.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it luck. I would call it more talent than luck, because you've had, like, the Berger books have been amazing. I mean, all of them.
Thank you.
I love that we're talking about the female writers, but I also really enjoyed Chris Cantrell's
Cantwell.
Yes.
And J.M. DeMatteis's book, and
Girl in the Bay.
Girl in the Bay, yeah.
Yeah, Chris and Mark. I mean,
So we have, I know Gary and David are trying to get reconnected here, but we also do have ready to show off, or you can go to darkhorse.com and just search Berger books, but you can see all of these books we're talking about. Ruby Falls and Girl in the Bay actually both remind me a little bit of each other, just in the sense that they're both kind of another, again, with the many, many layers, but layered mystery, kind of moving throughout time, and things don't really flow in like a linear pathway.
And stories about secrets that, haunt, the main character. And in many ways, other characters as well, too. And, but again, that's so much just a metaphor, really a reality to us as to the human race. We're all, we're all fairly complicated, some more than others, but a lot of people walk around with a lot of secrets all the time, and some of it drives people to do things that
Well, I really, I would also very strongly recommend Ruby Falls to folks too.
Ruby Falls came out at 4 single issues, but when we did the collection, the collection dropped right when the world shut down. And so did the 2nd volume of Everything by Chris Campbell and Ian Colbert, and the 2nd volume of Invisible Kingdom. Those 3 books got caught in this dead zone, unfortunately, where the books weren't available in comic book stores because the comic book stores were shut. They were delayed in getting to the bookstores because the printers were shut down, and it was the start of COVID. So I think people might have missed the book, because lots of times you're focused on what's out now, and but so I would really implore everyone who's listening to please check out these other great books too.
It's
definitely
been a rough year for sure. 2020 was. Hopefully the new year will be less rough.
I don't know if so great.
But Yeah, we'll continue. You know, Dark Horse, we'll be doing some more to try and remind folks of all those books that did come out in 2020. And if you want, folks watching at home, you can go back. We have, as I mentioned earlier, we've done a few streams previously with Karen and Anne and many of the others, Nnedi Okorafor and G. Willow Wilson and Christian Ward and Tana Ford and all these folks who've worked on these other fantastic books. And you can still watch all of those on both on our Twitch channel and on our YouTube. You can learn a bit more and hear from folks like we're doing today. YouTube, our name everywhere is just Dark Horse Comics. And we also will do some more coming up because Karen does have some more exciting Berger books coming up in this new year. Can you tell us a little bit more about what's next on your slate, Karen?
Yes, well, actually, obviously we have the Seeds, which we're talking about right now.
Ooh, yes.
Which we mentioned at the start of this is now available in regular bookstores and through Amazon. There was a delay from, well, there normally is a couple of weeks delay from comic book shops who get a 2-week exclusivity, but there was a further delay. But to go into the general market, but the Seeds is alive and growing, you know, every day. And Post York by James Romberger. I just got the advances to it just yesterday, and this is a really terrific story about a submerged New York City after the polar ice caps have melted. And it's about, a small band of survivors trying to get by. And there's an experimental approach to the story. There are kind of 3 different endings in a way, but which also just adds to kind of the magnitude of what James Romberger is trying to say in terms of, what will happen to the world, when climate change, if climate change continues at the pace that it's continuing. And it's beautifully told. It's very minimal. It's a black and white book, and the story is told in very sparse dialogue. And it's about a young guy named Crosby, who is, based on James's son, Crosby. And as James says in his forward to this, in his afterward, I should say, that this book is really, an apology to Crosby and his generation for the world that he's being left with in terms of climate and the environment and the abuse that the world is in right now. And it's we talk about the survivors, the small band of survivors who are trying to get by, trying to get through the day. Crosby starts off every day in his rowboat, just looking for food. There he is, on a map of New York, and his only friend is his cat, which kind of is next to the Seeds as well too. Yeah. You have a nice little cat in the Seeds, and then there is a group of the rich elites, of course. They always seem to pop up everywhere. We can't get rid of those rich elites. And they are sort of offshore and have been able to escape from this drowned New York City. And the 2 sides sort of come together in different ways during the course of the book. And again, there are different outcomes and depending on which chapter of the story you're reading, but there is an overall consistency to the story and to the message, and it's really powerful. It's beautifully told, and there's a back cover. It's really actually a great wraparound cover, You can see it in its glory here. James is a wonderful artist. This is the first thing I believe that he's written and drawn on his own. James did a bunch of things for me at Vertigo. He worked on 2020 Visions with Jamie Delano. He did Aaron and Ahmed. He did The Bronze Kill with Peter Milligan. And he also did this really wonderful, The Late Child, with Fantagraphics. Is that David?
We might have David audio at least.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm trying to right now put the camera. I don't know what the fuck has happened. Sorry about it.
But, we'll bleep. Yeah.
We'll keep
check
on
it.
working to get you connected.
Oh shit. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm glad we have your
Right.
voice, at least.
Yeah, we've been missing you.
It happened. We've been.
I suppose, but
Yeah. Are there questions from the audience? Maybe some questions for David?
Yeah.
Is this a good time for that, or?
Well, also,
oh shit. I'm trying to. Right now, I do not know why the camera does not work. Oh, what's that?
but we can actually
Take
hear
it.
you quite clearly now. So
Yeah.
Hear you.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
a
the
good-
sound works, but the camera doesn't. I do not know why. Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. It's like a podcast, you know.
Yeah, but
audio. As long as we can
yeah,
hear
but
you.
it'd be ideal.
Yeah. Your voice will be overlaid, you know, over your
Let me
art.
check it with the.
But we do. Your child apparently entered the chat.
Yeah, I had to restart the computer. I do not know why, but everything has.
Well, if you would
I
like,
think I had some kind of meltdown or something like that. You know, so sorry, really.
no
But we
problem,
can
no
hear
problem.
you. We can
In this-
hear you. So maybe
In
you
this era of Zoom, you know, there's all kinds of connectivity issues all the time. So it's certainly not the first and won't be the last. So don't worry about it.
You know, Kara, I wanted to say before you
Okay.
finished with, you know, the James Romberger is really one of my favorites for talking about post-York. But I mean, he is such an exquisite artist, and he did
The light here is great. Yeah.
he did these with the works with David Wanarovich back in the day,
Yeah.
and his
7
wife.
miles a second. We did that at Vertigo. God, I thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah. And they were spectacular. And also his wife, Marguerite, does his coloring. And, you know, he is...
He's a writer as well, Mark. They did The Late Child for Fantagraphics that Marguerite wrote and James drew. Beautiful. God, it's an amazing book.
He also has... he's fabulous. He's a friend. And he also did a book on Steranko.
Yeah.
For any Steranko fans out there, it's an amazing book about Steranko's contribution to comics. So I would definitely encourage people, and I'm excited to get this new book post York. It looks beautiful, and he really is one of the great comic talents.
I agree. Yeah, we got really great, you know, people to support the book too, like Jeff Lemire and Matt Kent and Samuel R. Delaney, Alice Cott. So got some really wonderful, you know, generous support from them too, blurbs and which has been really great. You know, as we have for the on the seeds as well on Ruby Falls. But David, are you still there?
Yeah. I'm here. I'm trying to put my camera. I do not know, because it's supposed to be here, but
I'm
I
not
do
sure
not.
what our time frame is, Kara. How much more time do we have left? Because I'm wondering if we should.
We are, I mean, we're getting fairly close to, I don't want to keep you all forever. And of course, David is probably getting fairly late where
I don't know. Let me restart this. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to restart again. Oh, it's horrible. Sorry.
I mean, even just having your voice, honestly, is
even maybe if we have a question for him.
Maybe we should just do some questions. I'm sure there are people there who want to ask.
He's already taken off again. Well, we did have a couple of questions which I already kind of worked in about Berger books and where that was going next year. Karen, did you I can grab the date for Invisible Kingdom Volume 3. If you want to tell folks about like what the plan is for that.
Well, that is wrapping up the story, it just furthers the adventures of Bess, the religious acolyte who sort of breaks with her, quote unquote, church, her faith.
Joder.
Okay,
Sorry.
there's David. David, are you still there?
He's reconnecting, I think, right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here,
Okay.
but I do not know why the camera doesn't work right now.
Okay.
I don't think
sorry.
No.
But
Totally
it's
fine.
supposed to be here.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Even just having your voice is
Kara
honestly
has,
the most
Okay.
important part.
Kara has some questions for you from people who are listening. Can you answer questions?
I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, I can.
I do. So super quick, Invisible Kingdom Volume 3, that's due out in May, just so folks listening, watching at home will know. And so for David, your child apparently stopped by the chat. I'm not sure if they're still in there, but they were just curious what you were drinking earlier.
What?
So there's a question for you. But also we were starting to talk a little bit about your design and coloring choice in the seeds and the use of just kind of the duotone, the sepia tones. And you had mentioned in one of those interviews that I did read, I was saying earlier, I was very excited about our shared interest, in fact, in German expressionist film and the influence of lighting in all of that. Can you tell folks a little bit about your choice to use just the duotone for this book?
Yeah, I suppose that question is for me. Sorry, I was trying to
No worries.
keep the camera. Okay. Oh, it doesn't work. Sorry, I'm doing stuff.
That's okay. We're looking at panels from the seeds right now, so folks.
Yeah, I saw it. Why do I choose this? Okay. The thing was, for example, with further work, like for example in Hawkeye or with the Daredevil story I did with Dan, I choose more. It was like more pop. Let's call it pop art point of view, where the line was more important. The line and the flat color, and
with the seeds, I wanted to do a point of view with the light. Oh, I think the camera. Yeah. Oh, look, I have put my alien glasses just to. Yeah, as I have fucked it up with.
Love those.
I said, okay, let's gonna do some shitty thing just
It was
to make
all
fun
worth
because
it just for those glasses.
okay.
Yeah, it was worth it. It's Alien.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I was saying, it's with the seeds, I tried to do the drawing. It's more based on the light. It's totally different than things I have done it before, because when you're working with mostly black and white, like in this case with the duotone, I was trying to do the light being more important than the line. I don't know if you get me more or less, but the thing was that it's like when you're doing flat colors or thick line, you're thinking in doing shapes, for telling the story. And in this case, the light and the black and white were, and you're probably wondering why I did this, because I wanted to have how would I say it? I wanted it to smell. I mean, yeah, I know it sounds a little crazy, but I wanted to be in the environment that you can smell. You know that
Yeah.
Actually, it has to smell bad. Like
Decay.
like yeah. I must probably you get it.
Right.
And yeah, more or less that was the point. Like we told before about the reporter, the graphs in the magazine and such, like in National Geographic or such, that you get like um, different points of view, like little shots here and there, and with that you had to build what is actually happening in that world that you didn't know, it's something like that, more or less.
It really works in
I'm
this.
feeling too stupid with these classes, sorry, but was just because as my connection was low, so I said, let's gonna do something quite funny, but I'm not funny.
It was funny. It was funny.
That was a shitty thing. Anyway.
We need
here
to
I
get
am
you
again.
one of those alien masks that they wear.
Yeah.
No spoilers. I won't say more than that. You have to read and find out.
Yeah.
Well, the color choice and the light and shadow, I think is just so effective, and I'm
Yeah, the color choice was actually we work it a lot with Richard Browning, the art director. We were actually choosing the exactly colors, and there was a thing that it's actually better in the compilation, in the volume, in the TPB. That was in the singles, because the singles were printed in CMK, with 4 colors. But my first idea was to have it with Pantones, the Pantones with just one single color, and I chose the Pantone, and I wanted it to be matte paper with that exactly Pantone, both for the covers and interiors. So I think the volume, the actual volume that has come out, it's exactly the colors and the work I wanted it to be. So, bite.
That's what an editor wants to hear.
I'm very glad to hear that. I mean, we work with a lot of different artists, and especially those who work digitally and are seeing their work and choosing their colors in RGB, and then seeing them in print or seeing the CMYK versions and what that does to the color. Sometimes it's a bit of a shock, I think, especially for those who are maybe cover artists that don't work in comics as much. Sometimes that can be a bit of a shock to people. So I'm glad that you were able to achieve in print what you idealized. And thank you for shouting out Richard, because I wanted to mention Richard Bruning, who Karen designs, I think, the majority of the Berger books.
He designs all of them, except he didn't design the suits.
Right.
Yeah.
But was an influence, apparently, for
That is
David.
part of the design.
Yeah, before going live, we were talking actually that I copy Richard. It's like all my design for the seeds is based on what Richard did in the 80s, like in books like Watchmen or Dark Knight or Killing Joke and such. That
The original was the
I mean,
artist.
it's my favorite art director ever, and the thing that I have done like these days, like art director, was great, because and I tried to with now that we were talking about panel per panel, about Hassan. He thought that the design for the seats was the Richard's idea, because it looks like Richard. And I said, no, it's because I copied him, It was my bad. I was actually copying him, like, because
It worked, I guess, then, right?
yeah. He's really great,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, just the
Do you want me to
overall.
put the glasses again, or am I fine? I like that.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, we're gonna need to update your author photo actually.
Italian glasses, though.
Actually, you see me smiling right now, but 5 minutes ago I was like, computer, like restarting it and such. But everything is fine now. We are all happy, so that's fine.
Yeah, it all works out. You know, like I said, we're all working from home and we've had to kind of learn and adapt on the fly. And I mean, believe me, when we started in 2020, we all had to kind of learn and everybody's connections were not great. So,
And they're still not.
thanks for bearing with us. But you know, as we were saying, it's been such a long time since we've been able to do an in-person convention that these virtual panels are at least a way that we can get not only ourselves together and see folks like David, who, you know, we probably wouldn't be able to see you at conventions even in the States unless you made quite a big trip to get there. So it's nice for us to get to see each other, for you to get to see each other. And we try to bring these to fans so that they can see and hear from you all in at least whatever way we can during the pandemic. So we'll announce a giveaway winner in a little bit here. I don't want to keep everybody for too much longer because I know it's getting later for everyone, but thank you everybody for joining us today. If you have any final questions for the Seeds team, please go ahead and drop those in the chat now.
I'm not sure because I have not opened I have not opened Twitch right now, but if somebody has done any questions or something,
yeah, I will.
Right
we will definitely relay those to you. One that I have from earlier, actually, and I'm going to extend this to everyone, but despite the pandemic, do you have any upcoming maybe live signing virtual events, kind of like this one, anything like that coming up that you would like to mention? Or I think what people are asking is if you would maybe be willing to you know, do a virtual signing or go do a signing at a comic shop so that people can then go later and buy a signed copy of the Seeds. Anything like that?
David, didn't you do something? David, didn't you do something with
Okay, comics.
Yeah, with Okay Comics, yeah.
Okay, right, yeah.
They asked me to do some book plates, you know, like little booklets, yeah, and it went great actually because I know the order like around 70 issues from the cities, 70 volumes, and they sold out to the first morning they came out, so really great. I have done it too with other books in my city, but I actually I haven't sent them yet the files to do the print, so but they will. But yeah, I think that things works actually. So yeah.
Well, if we find out,
Okay, comics. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Just any events that you do have coming up or that you have done, absolutely let us know at Dark Horse, and we'll be happy to share that publicly with folks on social media and our website to kind of help spread the word too. Yeah, and OK Comics has been doing a great job.
Yeah, and Annie's on the board of the Hero Initiative, which, you know, I think a lot of people know is a organization, you know, that provides, you know, financial help to freelancers, and it's a wonderful group, and has helped out a lot of people over the years, and you know, they're really fortunate to have someone like Annie on the board, you know, just in terms of her own, you know, compassion and intelligence. And
well, the thing is with comics, if you think of it like, a lot of comic books, we all did work for hire. So, you know, I wrote thousands of comics that were work for hire. I don't own them. And so a lot of, especially the old timers in comics, got hit with hard times because they, you know, they didn't own anything. And so what we do at Hero Initiative is give ongoing support to, I mean, we have some, I'm not really supposed to talk about who, but we have some pretty legendary people in the comic industry that depend on support from Hero Initiative, and also any comic artist that's hit hard times. And so every month we look at different, and then on eBay, basically people donate drawings. We put them on eBay, and then very, very simple drawings. Sometimes some artists will just, draw something on a bar coaster, on anything, and put it on eBay, and then raise money for some of legendary people in comics to help them pay their rent, pay their medical bills, just stay alive. And it's an amazing organization. It's got like John Romita Sr. and Virginia Romita and Walt Simonson, Howard Chaykin, and George Perez, and it's a pretty wide range of people, and it's a really important organization to help a lot of the talent that created a lot of stuff that's gone on to make a fortune, but there were no pensions for comic book people for work for hire. So yeah, huge shout out. Thank you, Karen, for reminding me. A shout out to Hero.
Thank you for being part of that group. I mean, it's really, yeah, and it's a wonderful group, and I know, they've been really hit hard, because I know at conventions, they would always, at a lot of the big shows, they would have, a good booth space, and different artists and writers would come and autograph and sell sketches, and where people could donate in person, and I know that's, a good part of where they got a lot of their, donations. But, for people who are listening out there, it's, it's.
And we lost a lot of, comic talent to COVID this year. Just last week, we lost Steve Lytle, who.
I know, I worked with Steve.
Yeah. We had done a bunch of Typhoid Mary stories together, and it was just, he's 61, he's young, and COVID took him. And another person, if you look at Bill Sienkiewicz's Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, he's done portraits of a lot of
amazing stuff. Yeah,
today he posted one of Steve Lytle in honor of.
I have to look. Yeah, wow.
Yeah, Sienkiewicz and Francesco Francavilla both have been doing some just phenomenal portraits.
Yeah.
I mean, Francesco did that beautiful portrait of Anthony Bourdain too after which is in that collection.
And Bill did as well.
Yeah. The two of them, I always.
They do. They're wonderful. And
of course, we on a cheerier note, we do have the Bill Sienkiewicz Great Butt Challenge. Which I think, David, didn't you do one of those?
Well, no.
David, Bill Sienkiewicz posted a picture of, how.
Yeah, I know.
For photo reference, you take.
Yeah. If I will show my photo reference,
Did you do Did you do one?
I should do an OnlyFans with my photo reference,
Yes.
No, they are all so fucking stupid, Yeah, we all have those ones, like you take a picture of yourself, like totally, well, like this little thinking it's one. I mean, we all have those.
For people who don't know what it is, Bill needed to take a picture of someone turning backwards and firing a gun. And so he took a picture of himself, but he's naked. And so many comic creators have done versions of Bill Sienkiewicz shooting backwards naked and focusing on his naked butt. So Bill's butt has become famous.
A true legacy.
Crazy.
You gotta have fun with these things where you can.
Yeah.
So we have just drawn a winner in our giveaway.
Do we have
Congratulations
questions or something like that? Or
yeah, I'll relate to again signings and where people will be, which unfortunately with the pandemic travel is not so possible right now. But as I said, if there are any virtual events like this that you are doing coming up, or if you would like to do more with Dark Horse, of course, we can always arrange that.
I would say that, you know, we have at least 3-4 more months where we're all going to be, you know, hiding at home. I would be happy to do anything. I don't know how it works to do a virtual signing, but I'd be happy to do anything. And also, you know, as soon as we can, we'll be in comic shops. And, you know, I don't know, I would do one in New York if they wanted me to. So yes, I would say yes. As soon as we can, we will be happy to sign anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and for the record, for Dark Horse's part, the conventions, there's still really no info yet in terms of full conventions, the normal conventions for this upcoming year. But most likely Dark Horse will be participating, you know, virtually wherever we can. So stay tuned. We'll, as always, announce that on our website and social media and email newsletters and all of that good stuff. But yeah, it will probably most likely just be virtual for some time yet. And our convention exclusives also. To shout out quickly the winner in the giveaway, congratulations to the screen name is VDLC 1978. So that's been announced in the chat. All you need to do is send us a private message, a whisper here on Twitch, and we will get in touch with you to get that arranged. You have won a copy of this beautiful The Seeds trade paperback collection. And yes, Karen's got it. And Anne's Ruby Falls, which is a beautiful book. Yeah, there they both are. Ooh, look at that spot gloss. Yeah. We always love to shout out the spot gloss on these. So that pretty much, again, I don't want to keep folks for too long. Thank you, David, for your efforts to reconnect. It's been wonderful to be able to see and hear and speak with you. Especially at such a long distance. And I don't want to keep you up, you know, way too late. But thank you to everyone for tuning in today. Trade paperback is widely available now, comic shops, bookstores, and digitally.
Cara, is there any question left? I mean, I cannot see the tweets pages now, but is there any question that somebody has asked anything that wanted to?
From the chat, I think we have actually worked through all the ones from the live chat that I've got. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I have plenty more questions that we can ask you, and we can do some more written interviews, or I can have you all back on in the future too. Now that we have all sorted through this delightful Zoom thing. But yeah, I'm going to let everyone sign up for today, because I know we do have to. I sadly have to get back to work for one. But thank you again for joining us. We do have the seeds available widely wherever books and comics are sold. Congrats again to our giveaway winner. And thank you, massive thank you, David, Karen, and Anne for joining us today.
This was great. Thank you so much, Cara, for doing this. And thanks to everyone who's been listening. And
thank you to the fans for being so patient.
I know you do put this on. This is available on Twitch for people who have not seen it live. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, it'll stay here on Twitch, and it will also be available to watch anytime on our YouTube as soon as we have the recording ready, which should be just a bit later this week. So we'll announce that everywhere. Yeah.
Great.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry.
No, you're fine.
The meltdown and the complications.
The beginning and the end,
you know.
Yeah. It has
to be this way. You know, it's me. If it could happen on everything right, it's because they're like, after David, you know. It's going fine. It cannot be him. So I had to forget that.
I'm glad you got back.
Thank you. So sorry.
No, you're You're fantastic. Thank you for talking with us about your process and for all your work on the seeds. It's an absolutely phenomenal book, and I strongly recommend anybody who's watching who has not yet read it, please pick it up. And it's something you're going to want to reread many times because, as we were saying, there are so many layered stories and different things to look at. And it's eerily prescient, and I feel like you all should be like fortune tellers at this point. But maybe tell us a brighter fortune for the future. I don't know. But thank you again so much to all of our guests today and for everyone who is tuning in. Again, you can find all the information about the seeds on darkhorse.com, and we will let you know when this is available to watch on YouTube. And with that, we will sign off. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.